Hey guys, Nature here. We got a banger for you today. We're going to cover the full Hunter Guide with everything we know and can prep for going into WoW Classic Season of Discovery. We're going to touch base on runes, gear, talents, rotation, your pets, even the raid consumes going into BFD. Now, I'll link a full guide as well as all the timestamps in the description below. So go ahead and check that out. If you want to fast forward, more than welcome to. Now, full disclosure here, Blizzard has stated multiple times that they can and will make drastic changes with Seasons of Discovery. So take everything we touch base on with a grain of salt. It can change in an instant. Let's get started. Now, we can't really go into Season of Discovery talk without first touching base on the new rune system. Runes are basically class buffs and abilities that have been added to your chest, legs, and hand slot, with more slots possibly added in the future, like belt. The way runes work, first you have to find the rune that's part of the discovery. You can locate them in the open world by doing quests, or really where Blizzard wants to put them. We don't know yet. What'll happen once you get that rune, it's similar to an enchant. However, unlike an enchant, you can use that rune as many times as you want, so you can switch back and forth to the runes you need for the situation. And the best part about that is it's only a 10-second cast that's used out of combat to switch. This is a little bit controversial of a topic for some hunters, and we'll go over that in the talents section. But first up is Aspect of the Lion. This is huge. Now remember, only one aspect can be active at a time as a hunter, but when Aspect of the Lion is active, it increases the total stats of all party members by 10%. We don't know if this will affect the whole raid, but we do know it'll at least do the party for now, and it'll give the hunter an additional 10% to all stats, making it 20% total. Cobra Strikes, your critical hits with shot abilities cause your pet's next two special attacks to critically hit. Lone Wolf, which started off as 25% but has been reduced to 15%, increases the damage of all your attacks you do while you do not have the pet active. Master Marksman, this increases your critical strike chance by 5%. It reduces the mana cost of all of your shot abilities by 25%. Side note here, this does stack with efficiency, making 35% total if you're talented into efficiency. Now, next we have the hand slot. First, we'll start with Beast Mastery. This takes your pet damage and health and increases it by 30%, while simultaneously also increasing the focus regeneration by 80% and providing a taunt for your pet's growl ability. Now, normal focus regen here is 5 per 1 second. This increases that to 9 per 1 second. Next, we have Carve for the melee boys. It's a sweeping attack that strikes all enemies, keyword all enemies, in front of you for 50% of your weapon damage. Chimera Shot, which will deal 125% weapon damage, refreshing the current sting on your target and triggering an effect. It should be notated here two things. For one, Serpent Sting is the only thing we have available at level 25, and it's kind of a weak rank of Serpent Sting at rank 3. That'll provide an additional 32 damage on top of your Chimera Shot. The second thing that we need to notate here is it does not matter how long the sting is active, you'll get the full effect regardless of how long the sting has been active on the target. Lastly, we have Explosive Shot. This is an instant cast that scales. It does fire damage initially, and then 2 more ticks for the same amount or same range of fire damage. Last up, we have the leg slot. We'll touch base first on Flanking Strike, which does 100% of your melee damage for you and your pet. Afterward, your Mongoose Bite and Raptor Strike deal 10% increased damage for 10 seconds. This effect stacks up to 3 times. In addition, your Raptor Strike has a 20% chance when used to reset the cooldown on Flanking Strike. The current cooldown is 30 seconds. Then we have Kill Command. Your pet will gain 60% damage to the next special attack, keyword special attack, so this will not be affected by your pet's attack speed, but by the special attack used. So 60% for 30 seconds, and each attack reduces by 20%. So it'll be 60, then 40, then 20. Serpent Spread, This takes your multi-shot and applies a Serpent Sting, a 6-second version to each one of the targets hit by the multi-shot. Sniper Training, which your shot abilities will gain 10% increased critical chance while you have not moved for the last 6 seconds. Now, we should note here in Wrath of the Lich King, once you stand still for 6 seconds, you gain a 15-second buff, so you have a 9-second window to move before you need to stand still again. However, a lot of people at BlizzCon reported that as soon as you move, this buff disappears. So we're not sure how this will work, but keep your eyes open when SOD launches. All right, let's go ahead and switch gears here. Now, before we cover the gear section, guys, full disclosure, everything we touch base on in this section is most likely to be changed or irrelevant once SOD is released. We're basically just covering what we know is available, what you might look out for, and what potentially could be best in slot items, assuming nothing changes. First up here is Humbert's Helm. This is a huge item. It's basically best in slot for most classes that can use it at this point that we know about. Humbert's Helm is a horde only item. However, it's BOE. That means that Alliance players can get it through the neutral auction house. It drops in Hillsbrad Foothills off the level 29 to 30 dwarf elites found in the southeast corner of the zone. Next up, we have Scout's Medallion. This is a PvP item gained by getting Warsong Rep up to the honored level. We have Dervish Spalders. This is a random BOE drop from level 26 to 32 mobs that can roll up to 8 agility on it. Side note here, we have Mantle of Thieves. It's a BOE. This is something dropped in Razorfin Crawl. We don't know if that's going to be available on launch. However, if it is, this would be your best in slot. All right, next up we have Cape of the Brotherhood. Highly suggest going for this item, especially in the beginning. This is a 6 agility cloak dropped off Edwin Van Cleef, the final boss in Dead Mines. Now, if you're really a min-maxer here, we have the Parachute Cloak, which offers 8 agility. However, the schematic for this, guys, is an ultra rare world drop. It drops between 0.01 and 0.05% on mobs. Your best bet is the Dry Wallow Snapper found in Duskwallow Marsh. This has a 0.04%. It's a non-elite and it's between level 37 and 38. The party that gets together, farms these mobs, and gets this schematic is gonna be rich, but good luck hunting. Now, next up, we have the chest slot here. This is a pretty unique slot. For Alliance, we have 2 chests that you're going to want to pick up. They're both from quest lines. First, we have Tunic of Westfall. This is from the Defias Brotherhood quest line in Dead Mines. Next up, we actually have the Raptor Bane armor. This is found by completing Omar's Revenge in the Wetlands. However, the Raptor Bane armor is 30 attack power when fighting Beast. This is going to be relevant in BFD. Now, 30 attack power raw actually does not beat out 11 agility from the Tunic of Westfall. However, for the melee weavers, the min-maxers, this item would edge out the Tunic of Westfall. Next up, we have the Clam Weave Tunic. This, surprisingly, as a cloth item, has more base armor than any of the other choices by far. It has 12 stamina, 4 agility, and 6 intellect. You'll want to pick this up for the PvPers. This is found in the new BFD 10-man raid. All right, guys, back to Horde side. We have our good old boy Dervish, the Dervish Tunic here. This is a random world drop from level 26 to 32 mobs, and it's a BOE that can roll up to 11 agility. We also should note here, there's a quest called the Den. This is a great early pickup as it has 9 agility, 2 strength. Pick this up while leveling because it might be a while before you see the BOE. For the glove slot here, we have a huge item. We have the only epic quality item that we're aware about that can be obtained through leatherworking. It's a bind-on pickup, so you have to have leatherworking to get this item. It does 6 agility, 6 stam. Those 2 sets alone are equivalent and better than most items at the level. However, in addition to that, it improves your chance to hit by 1% and it gives you a 10% haste buff that can be used once every 10 minutes. For the belt slot, on Alliance side, we have Windborne Belt. This is obtained by completing High Perch Venom in Duskwallow Marsh. You can pick this up while you're leveling. On Horde side, we have the Deathkin Belt. This can be obtained by completing Janu of the Earthen Ring in Ashenvale. You can also pick this up while leveling. Now, the leg slot is actually really interesting here. We have first Trip Runner Dungarees. This is obtained by the quest Rig Wars completed in Nomergon. If Nomergon is not available, the next item we have is Petrol Spill Leggings. Now, this item would be obtainable as a BOE drop in Nomergon. If you can't get into the instance, as a note here, this can drop on the elites outside the instance. We don't know if those will be available. If those are not available, we'll have Troll's Bane Leggings. This is a random world drop obtained from level 27 to 34 mobs. Troll's Bane Leggings technically is going to be a little bit better than the Petrol Spill, just because it has the 4 Spirit with the same amount of agility. If you can't get your hands on that item, since that's a rare world drop, you can always pick up Leggings of the Fang. This has 9 agility and 5 strength. This is great for the Weavers, and it can be picked up while leveling doing Wailing Caverns. Now, for boots, we have Feet of the Lynx. This is going to be your best in slot item for both Alliance and for Horde. The reason it's the best in slot is it has 8 agility and 3 strength. The 3 strength would be for your melee weavers. Now, if you're not a melee weaver, we have Voral's boots. This probably won't be in the game, so it's irrelevant, but this is completed in Scarlet Monastery through a quest line. If you're on the Horde side, this is a must get while leveling the Warsong boots. This provides 8 agility and 6 stamina, and it'll also be your best in slot item for PvP. When it comes to rings are kind of hard to obtain and get a hold of, but you'll want to go ahead and pick up the Monkey Ring. This is dropped by Willix the Importer in Razorfin Crawl. Now, a side note, RFK may not be available. You'll also want to pick up Ring of Precision. This is a BOE that's dropped in BFD. So in the new 10-man raid, this will just be a random drop that occurs. This also could be hard to get. Your next best in slot is called Savannah Ring. This is a random world drop dropped by level 27 to 34 mobs, and it can roll up to 6 agility as well. Now, for some additional ring options, since rings are harder to obtain, and for PvP purposes, we have Protector's Band. This is actually obtained from Honored Reputation with Warsong Gulch, exactly like with our neck piece we touched base on earlier. For Alliance players, we have Seal of Rin. This is obtained through an audience with the King. It's a quest line that you can find in Stormwind. This is a must pick up for Alliance players, especially if you plan to PvP. Everybody that's played WoW Classic before, you know how difficult it can be to get trinkets, especially in the earlier levels. So in this slot, we of course have Venger's Void Pearl. This is a new item out of the 10-man BFD raid. This is a must pick up for hunters as it provides 10 shadow resistance and 10 attack power. Now, as far as your other trinket options, there's no other options that provide any type of damage that'll increase you for PvE bis. The best option we have here is Minor Recombobulator, because it's likely we're going to run into mana issues. This dispels polymorph effects on a friendly target, but also restores 150 to 251 health and mana. As a side note here, you can target yourself and just use it as a minor mana potion. Now, our favorite topic here, let's talk about the weapons. We have Guardian's Trident. For the melee weavers, this item is absolutely nutty as it has 59 to 89 damage. We touched base on this in the Max Weave or Endless Weave video that I did. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. If you're a melee weaver, it's a must see, it's a must know. This is a huge item. Now, if you're not a melee weaver, we have Armor Piercer. This is a drop from Razorfin Crawls. This may or may not be available. However, if it is, the 11 agility is the best range stat stick. Also, as a side note, we have Fathom Blade. This is another melee weaving item. This provides 1% hit and is basically equivalent to the Guardian Trident. However, for the PvPers, this has a chance on hit which blasts all enemies in front of you with a pressurized water. This is kind of like an AoE knockback ability and is basically a must-have for any PvPer. Oddly enough, if you're a melee weaver and you don't have any of those three choices, Outlaw Saber, which is a one-hander, is your next up. So this is a must pick up. It's horde only, but you can pick it up just questing and leveling. Side note, another banger here that a lot of people forget about is Gizmotron Mega Chopper. For the melee weavers, this is your pre-raid bis. It's dropped in Nomergon as a random BOE, so it's unlikely to be available. However, like we touched base on earlier, this can actually drop on the elites that are found outside the instance. So even if Nomergon is closed, this may still be an option. Now, if we don't plan on melee weaving at all, and we can't pick up Armor Piercer, we have some great stat sticks. We'll switch over to one-handers if that's not available. Your best in slot is going to be Outlaw Saber. Now, this is horde only, unfortunately, but if you are horde, this is a must pickup. For Alliance and Horde, by getting Revered, we can pick up the Warsong Gulch weapons. We have Prison Shank. You're probably not going to get this. This drops from the Stockades, which probably won't be available. Then we have the Talon of Voltros. This is a BOE found on a rare mob, and it's a rare drop. Again, we're probably not getting that. So the next best up is going to be Wingblade or Cruel Barb. Cruel Barb dropping in the Deadbinds, and Wingblade dropping in Wailing Caverns. For our ranged weapons, we have Naga Heartrender. There's nothing that we've seen that's even close to this item. So once you get to BFD 10-man, this will be a must pick up, unless if there's something we don't know about. Now, the pre-raid bis is actually Steel Arrow Crossbow. This is located in the West Mines off the Dark Rifleman Elites in the northern part of the zone. Now, as a side note, this is a 3.4 attack speed weapon, which is really good. However, the bottom and top end is not better than Naga Heartrender. So although it looks like on 60 upgrades, this is a better weapon, no, we're going to pick up the BFD 10-man raid item. All right, moving on to talents, guys. Let's bring up the elephant in the room. Aspect of the Lion is an aspect. You cannot use Aspect of the Hawk while Aspect of the Lion is active. So the reason this is a big deal is improved Aspect of the Hawk, point for point, is pretty much one of the best talents a hunter has. And at level 25, it's absolutely the best point for point talent we can use. Just to break it down, if you don't believe me, even though putting 5 points in, we're going to get a 5% chance at getting a 30% haste buff for 12 seconds. If we're using Naga Heartrender, that means that once every 50 seconds, we would proc the haste buff. If you break that down, that's a minimum of 24% uptime while we're engaging in ranged attacks. A 24% uptime on a 30% haste buff is absolutely nutty. There's nothing better. We're going to have to sacrifice being able to use this talent to use Aspect of the Lion to buff the raid. So really, if you want to be min-maxing as a hunter, you're going to have to bring a second hunter or get the pally to provide kings to the raid. With all that being said, guys, if your group, party, raid does not have Aspect of the Lion or kings already provided, you're absolutely going to go ahead, take one for the boys and put that up. I'm going to cover, however, what is technically the best damage talent tree. So we are going to put 5 out of 5 into improved Aspect of the Hawk. If you're using Lion, of course, you'll put these points elsewhere. Now, with that being said, monster slaying and humanoid slaying is going to be your next 6 talents. The reason for that is BFD has both beast and humanoids that you're using gives you 1% increased damage and then 1% increased critical damage, making 2% total on crits. Now, that works with both melee and ranged, which is why it edges out lethal shots. That just provides 1% crit only to your ranged. The next ability that we're talenting into is Savage Strikes. Savage Strikes increases your Raptor Strike crit chance by 20%. With the amount of crit that we have as a hunter, that's a nutty increase. Then we're just going to use our last 3 points in efficiency. This is just going to help us with our mana, since we will most likely run out of mana in these BFT long encounters. It's important to note here, guys, that this is assuming a couple of things. This is assuming that we're running Aspect of the Hawk. This is also assuming that we're melee weaving. That may or may not be options that you'll have available. When it comes to runes, guys, on this option with chests, we're picking up Master Marksman. This is going to increase our critical strike chance by 5%, while also reducing our mana consumption by an additional 25%. When it comes to the hand slot, we're picking up Explosive Shot. This is the best damage dealing option that allows us to melee weave in the rotation, which I'll cover next. When it comes to legs, what we're going to do here, if we're doing a turret rotation, a normal melee weave rotation, we're basically going to pick up sniper training to increase our crit chance by 10%. On the flip side of things, if we're doing more of a max weave rotation, which we'll cover next as well, you're going to want to pick up Flanking Strike. I do understand not everybody is a melee weaver. If you're not, that's great as well. What we're going to do in this situation is we'll keep improved Aspect of the Hawk, but we're going to go ahead and spec down to get Aim Shot. Aim Shot is an additional ability that's going to do your weapon damage plus 70. So this is going to be massive. Pound for pound, this is better than any other point besides improved Aspect of the Hawk, because you're basically just getting an extra attack in. We're going to go ahead and use our points 5 out of 5 into efficiency to save on mana. And we're going to put 5 out of 5 into lethal shots, so we get 5% increased critical damage to our ranged attacks. Now, when it comes to your runes, we're going to go ahead and pick up Master Marksman. This is going to increase your critical strike chance by 5% and reduce your mana by an additional 25%. This does stack with the efficiency that we already picked up, making 35% total. When it comes to your hand slot, we're going to pick up Chimera Shot. The reason we're picking up Chimera Shot is because Explosive Shot can't be used with your aimed shot. So Chimera Shot and Aim Shot are going to work together, and we'll cover that in the rotation. Lastly, on the legs, since we're standing still and being a turret, we're going to go ahead and pick up Sniper Training. This is going to provide additional 10% crit. So with everything stacked together, we're really increasing our crit chance here on our ranged attacks. Let's break down the rotations. So with the build we just covered, where we're picking up Chimera Shot and Aim Shot, here's the rotation. We're going to do an auto shot. We're going to put up Serpent Sting as soon as we can. You can actually do this while running in even before you auto. The reason we're putting up Serpent Sting first is because then we're immediately going to use Chimera Shot without clipping our autos. And the Chimera Shot is going to do an additional 32 damage because we put Serpent Sting up first. This will also, every time in the rotation, will refresh Serpent Sting. So we only need to put it up the first time. So we're going to do, again, Serpent Sting, auto, or auto, Serpent Sting, Chimera Shot. There's going to be another auto. We're going to queue up our Aim Shot here, which is a 3-second cast. We'll clip our auto a little bit with the Naga Heart Render, but that's perfectly fine. Followed by an immediate auto. Chimera Shot again. Chimera Shot, as a reminder, is a 6-second cooldown. We'll do an auto, then we're going to do a multi-shot. The multi-shot will be back up again when we come back around, so we're simply just going to repeat. if we picked up the first set of talents I went over with Savage Strikes, we're going to want to switch up the rotation so we can work in our Raptor Strike. The way this will work is a similar opener. You will use Auto Shot, Serpent Sting, then we're going to use Explosive Shot. Remember, we picked this up here specifically so we didn't have to worry about the aim shot in our rotation. So again, Auto, Serpent Sting, Explosive Shot, Auto, Multi-Shot, Auto, Explosive Shot will be off CD, so we'll go ahead and use that. And then here's where we're going to weave. We'll go ahead and do an Auto, then a Raptor Strike. This rotation is completely repeatable, so we'll just repeat it. Now, a side note here, during this rotation, we'll want to make sure we refresh Serpent Sting. We don't need to be too worried here, guys, on making sure it's min-maxed, but every 2 rotations, we'll basically want to refresh the Serpent Sting. As a reminder, Serpent Sting is only rank 3. It's a level 18 spell, which is not that great, but it does more damage, so we'll want to refresh it if at all possible. Just keep in mind here that this is the least mana efficient skill, so sometimes in a longer fight, we may not need this in the rotation. Final rotation here. This is probably the most exciting thing that I've talked about when it comes to Hunter during Season of Discovery. I have an entire video on the max weave or endless weave rotation. However, if we picked up Flanking Strike and we really want to go ham, this is how this will work and break down. There's going to be an opener to get into position, and then we're going to do a priority rotation. So let's break it down. We'll do an auto attack, Explosive Shot, followed by Auto Multi-Shot. In between these 2 abilities in your autos is a time that you're moving into melee weave position. We'll go ahead and auto, place up Serpent Sting. Serpent Sting is an instant cast. So what we're going to do is immediately following the auto, as we're pushing W and Serpent Sting at the exact same time. We'll go in and weave with our Flanking Strike, Auto, Explosive Shot, and we're doing the same exact thing we just did with Serpent Sting. This is an instant cast. So we're going to go ahead immediately following our auto, push W while hitting the Explosive Shot, go in and do our Raptor Strike. Now, interestingly enough here, the reason this is viable is level 25 characters don't have the same range scaling that we're used to in Classic. Not only that, but Guardian's Trident, the 2-hander we covered earlier, is absolutely nutty at this level. So what this rotation is, and this is going to be technically your best in slot rotation, you're going to weave in and out from range to melee, and you're going to priority both your attacks here that are auto. So we're going to do a ranged auto. We're going to pick in order the top cast that's available. Then we're going to weave in to our melee auto in using our top cast that's available here. The idea, guys, is to just go in and out, using the most effective shot or weave that we can with our abilities. If you have any questions on that, hit me up, but I firmly believe at level 25, this will be the best rotation to do with these best talents. We can't really have a hunter guide without touching base on pets. Your best in slot here is going to come from a couple of things. For one, you're looking for Claw rank 4 and Bite rank 4. When it comes to owls, like in the past, Screech is an unoptimized skill and it's not learned a new rank until level 26. So we're going to go ahead and avoid the owl here, but a cat and a raptor are both the highest output pets at a 1.1% multiplier that also have Bite and Claw available. As a side note, when it comes to pets, the movement abilities of Dash and Dive are not available at this level. The only pet with a movement ability is a boar, So in a really short encounter, a boar can actually edge out the two pets, the cat and the raptor. Now, the best option for a cat is the starving lion found in Hillsbrad foothills. The reason for this is it has the 1.2 attack speed. What really gets fun is raptors are viable at level 25. So we can pick up any form of raptor. They all have a 2.0 attack speed. Technically speaking, a faster attack speed, you have a chance at the end of a boss encounter where you had one extra little melee in that the slower attack speed didn't. So the starving lion is technically going to be your best in slot. That difference is so minuscule, you could really pick up any cat or any raptor regardless of the attack speed. All right. Now that's all I had to go over. Now, in the description is the Google document that has the full list and everything we went over in complete detail. There's also the raid consumes list, weak auras and macros that I use, add-ons, UI, even the sources you. Wait, is this a elite map? Oh, it is. Oh my gosh. I might die here, boys. Well, if you liked the video, go ahead and like and subscribe at the bottom. I'll try to put out more content as we learn and as things update. I'm going to go ahead and try to kill this mob before it kills me. Oh my gosh, no. No. Oh, easy game, boys. Easy game.